Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready, baby. You hear the stream? It's designed to make you feel cool and comfortable. Hey, handsome boy, how are you?
Hey. I tell you what, I'm loving that EMC guy. He's egging me on. Yeah. Tommy and them are just gonna have to get preached at. I tell you, they're just gonna have to watch them videos. I tell you, I think I did a darn good job with this tight budget I had. A little bit less than 50, a little bit less than the 58 million a day that the big boys have.
Oh.
Yeah, they get about $22 billion a year from our taxpayers' money.
What do they do with it all?
CGI this and CGI that, and claim they go up in the atmosphere and jump around the moon a little teeny bit, but they don't jump as high as what they should be able to.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't been to the moon. That's a whole bunch of bullshit.
Whole bunch of malarkey.
Yes, sir. Anyway, I got basically enough video stuff on there that it should convince just about anybody that we've been duped.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot more out there, but Eric Dubay is the guy to go to if you can find his stuff. So.
Uh-huh.
Johnny Green just put out a video short, maybe 2 minutes long or so.
Uh-huh.
Shows the topology of the Earth the way some people believe it is. And so it shows the four corners of the Earth, the pillars of the Earth underneath of it, like a terrarium over top of it. You familiar with Johnny Green?
No, I've seen that he did something with Scott Hicko, but I didn't watch it, so I don't know anything about him.
Yeah. Anyway, he's starting to put out stuff. I probably won't have time to do much commenting this evening. I just wanted to pop on here real quick, and the other guy's taking a shower, getting dressed, and then we're going to drive. So
okay.
I like your topic there. For God locks up all the other stubbornness nuts, that he should be merciful to all.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the depths of the riches and the wisdom, the genius,
uh-huh,
and the knowledge of God. How unscrutable are his judgments and untraceable his ways.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. There ain't no way for us to know the mind of the Lord. Not now. Not till the resurrection.
Yeah.
Dan says we'll know even as we are known. So, man, we're going to be geniuses then.
Hopefully.
Somebody's trying to get out here. Parked. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm parked in a little U shape here. I'm just going to make another turn around the U. I think I'll turn my video off here for right now. You carry on.
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Sure.
All right, boys and girls, let's see what this EMC fella says. Use the money to spray chemtrails since they can't get past the firmament. You must be born again. And look at this great message. What is that? Oh, that means I'm watching you, I guess. Okay, so we got 4 lovely verses here, verse 32, verse 33, verse 34, 35, 36. Okay, so we got 4 lovely verses here. And go ahead and sit back and enjoy the reading and the prattling, because these are 4 verses that Christians, by and large, hate. Okay? Why would they hate this? Well, because this type of language, this type of sentence structure, this type of ideas that are conveyed in these 4 verses basically blow apart all kinds of aspects of Christian doctrine, Christian theology. You ready? Okay. Item number 1, verse 32. For God locks up altogether in stubbornness. You can check out other translations of this verse if you want, but it all pretty much pans out the same. What you got, Paul?
Hey, I'm just gonna keep talking as long as the other guy doesn't come out here yet.
Okay, good.
Yeah. What did you think of that Job 14 passage the other night?
It was beauteous.
Beauteous.
Yeah, remind me what it said.
That's the one that says, "He will call and I will answer," and the Lord basically is watching over us so tightly. It says He will long, or He yearns for the creation that He has made. He
Amen.
yearns for us. He yearns for us.
Right.
He ain't gonna let none of us get out of this whole thing without getting us saved. It doesn't matter. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercy may
Amen.
never come to an end. So, yeah.
Right.
Who has known the mind of the Lord? Man, it just blows my mind to think that I was blinded by all religion up until about age 50. And then my daughter asked me these questions. Let me turn the video on here. She asked me, she said, "Dad, do you love me?" I said, "Yeah, I love you." She said, "Well, what if I sinned? Would you love me?" I said, "Yeah, I think I'd still love you. I'd hate to sin, but still love you." She said, "Well, what if I sin the rest of my life? Would you still love me?" I said, "Yeah, I still hate that sin, but I can never stop loving you." I don't remember the exact words, but something like that. And she said, "Well, would you send me to hell?" I said, "No, I don't think I could do that. I couldn't bring it about myself to do something like that to my daughter."
So would you say that she was a universalist at that time when she was asking?
already toying with the idea. She had been debating a whole bunch of atheists online. Hey, the other guy's coming. Anyway, she said, "So you love me more than God does, don't you?" Hey, I'm talking on the online here, so I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna hang up.
Okay.
Hey, Ace, I'm gonna get out of here. We're gonna go out to eat.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Grace to you. Bye.
Okay, that's Casey.
Bye, Casey. Now Casey is world famous. Where were we? Oh, EMC has a clever question. Can Jesus help those with unbelief? What a clever question. That's great. He's, supposedly he's got all this power. And if somebody has unbelief, well, it looks like he might be able to do something about it. What do you think, EMC? You want to come in? Okay, you can come in. You can put your shyness on the shelf for a moment and come on in and we'll have fun talking. Because I only have 4 verses. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Even the word "for" is just a lovely word. For God locks up all together in stubbornness. The word "together" is a lovely word. Don't you feel kind of comforted by that? You know, it's not that God locked you up alone in stubbornness. No, He's making sure that we have a unified experience. For God locks up all together in, in is a fine preposition. We know we're in Adam, and some of us Bible students even go so far as to say we are all in Christ, whether we know it or not.
There's a problem with what you were saying, though, I think.
Go ahead. Over.
Over. No, the last thing I heard before I connected is you said, that's why we're all locked up together in stubbornness.
Mm-hmm.
But it does suck to be locked up together in a cage in stubbornness with somebody that doesn't know they're locked up in stubbornness.
Well, what do you make of that?
Hell on earth.
Yeah, when you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one of those crabs starts to make his way out of the bucket, the other crabs will reach up and grab him and pull him back down.
Yeah. The more you've been reading these, like Galatians, and I forgot what you read before that, Romans, but I think it was important. Paul seems to think it was important to know who you're tangoing with.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be important. Not that he's trying to point out who's doing wrong and who's doing right, but he doesn't like people faking which side they're on, it doesn't seem.
Mm-hmm.
Or pretending, or I guess enjoying. What am I saying?
Yes, what are you saying? Go on, baby, go on. Use your words. Use your words.
Yeah, well, it is. It's not a bad thing. And I don't even really care about it that much because I don't have much to do with it at all. I'm just saying it's not as freeing if you can't decide. Decide's a bad word. If you don't have a stillness about God's plan, like you're not okay with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's not too peaceful. Like if you're always feeling like you got to either take God off the hook or, I don't know, be so relatable to everybody. Maybe I don't know. I just think it's an important thing to be able to look at yourself and try to measure and see what you really do believe. I mean, do you really believe that God's running everything, that he's got everything under control, that that's really how you should believe?
It's not that I personally, it's not that I run around consciously thinking I believe that God is under control. I just don't. I'm just
Don't think about it.
Right. I don't think about it at all. I'm just enjoying it. If the subject comes up, then I'll scratch my head and say, well, God locks all up together in stubbornness.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think about it until I hear something like you're talking about it here. It's not something I consciously think about, or I do think about it when there's an exasperating, or I think it's an exasperating problem. Then I'll step back and go, wait a second,
Uh-huh.
This is not all. I don't have to figure this all out. I don't have to, everything's not hinging on my decision at the moment. Remember I told you that it sometimes gets to where it's almost like you're watching yourself living, like you're observing yourself in a situation. Usually there's high stress or there's a conflict with someone going on.
Right.
And you're kind of looking for a place to hide anyways under a rock, but you can't go anywhere. Yeah. It's a weird thing, kind of. But I think it's more like that Well, heck, 95%, they say 95% of what we do all day long is subconscious,
Hmm.
just auto program, muscle memory.
Hmm. Yeah. That's why sometimes early in the morning, maybe once every 3 years, I'll grab a coffee cup. And if it's not those tapered cups, that go down a little bit toward the bottom, if it's just straight edges, I might set it upside down on the counter and try and pour coffee in it. I'm just operating on autopilot at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a mess. Okay, so we have before our little bitty eyes 4 verses, 4 Bible verses that you will not hear on Sunday morning at the Baptist church, the Catholic church, the Pentecostal church, the Charismatic church, the Speak in Tongues church. You will not hear these verses. What do they say? Why are they important? Why are they hated? Well, because they're really cool. That's all. They're just cool verses. They go above and beyond anything we were taught, above and beyond human sentiment and the human concoction of the plan of God, which we don't want to recount here because it's a disastrous idea. For God locks up altogether in stubbornness. You mock my pain.
You got 5 gods out there in record time. It sounded so cool. God. It was great.
Yes,
Wow.
it's not that Sally locked herself up in stubbornness. It's not that Bill from England or Praise I Am or
Oh my God.
it's not that all these guys locked themselves up in stubbornness, although it would be fun to gossip about them and blame them for their own condition. But we're of the brand of Christianity here on this channel that we believe that you should leave the L out of the word help when you're speaking of these guys. They can't help it. For God locks up altogether in stubbornness. He's got a big fat plan. And his big fat plan requires that we be stubborn. Imagine that. Stubbornness is a prerequisite to this whole thing.
People really need to become okay with that. That also takes care of a lot of stress in your life, takes care of a lot of anxiety that you might have towards other people, takes care of why, baby, why.
Yeah.
It really is good that he did that.
Part of our annoyance with other people is they don't give us what we want or what we think we want, And so we blame them for being stubborn. And even in the theological circles, after you explain it to them and they don't agree with you, they think they're stubborn. But this stubbornness thing is a big deal to God. And it's not an impossible obstacle to God. God makes sure that it happens. Now, as you've been growing up, if you're like me, you're terribly annoyed at stubborn people. Your kids, your spouse, your next door neighbor, the county government. Name your situation. That you're buffeting up against stubbornness all the time. But this passage here is going beyond just daily life. It's that God locks up us all of us together in stubbornness in all kinds of ways. And he doesn't unlock us until it suits him. And then it seems, from my experience anyway, it seems that he only unlocks us partially. Lets us have one foot out of the jail of stubbornness. Or maybe we get to go into the next room of stubbornness. Well, anyway, we can overanalyze that stubbornness metaphor. But the deal is that God, this is the doings of God. And that's one of the things that we want to look for in the scriptures, right? So the regular old Christians, the stained glass window guys, the free willers, they don't look for the doings of God when they read the scriptures. They look for the doings of man. And the best they got is that God gives you an opportunity to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But that's it. God makes salvation available, but that's it. No, we actually, are sincerely on this channel anyway. The guys who hang out with us, we want to see God, and we want to see God's doings. And this verse 32 is a perfect, beautiful portrait of God's doings. God locks. Hey, could we put a period there? For God locks. I think we can. And we get the whole message right there. For God locks up, period. For God locks up all, period. God, we could put periods all over this thing and it would still be beautiful. For God locks up all together in stubbornness. Nancy is stubborn.
Sure.
Is stubborn.
We're all stubborn.
Jamie is stubborn.
We're all stubborn.
Soup is stubborn.
Yeah, we're all stubborn.
You're stubborn, that's right. And I, as the host of this show, can boldly say that the Ace Theo Stubborn Show is all about now. This is stubbornness on display. But this is God's doing. Ephesians 3:11 mentions the purpose of God.
Hey, can I ask you something here?
Yeah.
After the stubbornness, when he does say that he should be merciful to all, what if he was only just merciful to some? How lopsided would that be? And that would infer, if he's only merciful to some, that only some needed it. So it would infer too that there's some kind of mutual capability we all could arrive to if we just try hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, that would blow apart the balance of this little verse here.
It sure would. I mean, the only right thing to do if you're going to be handing out mercy of any sort, in other words, people are getting something that they otherwise shouldn't or don't deserve, then that, to be fair and to hold true to your not being a respecter of any person, well, you'd have to do it this way. That's the only way you could generate good feelings and bowing knees willingly at the end.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got the word for and the word that. And that's good that you pointed that out, Cade. Because there is a great symmetry in this little sentence. The big fat goal of God is what? To make us all realize that there's not much in us. We can't brag and boast on ourselves. That he should be merciful to all. So the subject of this sentence is God. God's doing, God's being, God's plan, God's purpose. It's right here in front of your eyes. God locks up all together in stubbornness that he should be merciful to all. And even though it says all, as Christian universalists are wont to do, they want to make sure that they're included, that they're in that all business. But I think this sentence is, that the all is just is the garnish here. It's just a tapestry, the window dressing. The real thrust of this sentence is the doings of God. We want to see God. And here we can see God. Go ahead.
I'm just saying everybody is, I mean, I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but I think it's kind of a pickle. Like if God is if God is the origin of life, and animation and animating things and giving the things autonomous abilities and thinking abilities, some crave these abilities to be on their own, but where do you come up with thoughts? You're not going to a thought bin. I mean, they're coming from somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And so the real, I mean, all of these different comparisons, like between husbands and wife, is the husband going to hate his wife? No, because he doesn't hate his own body, and these compares. I mean, we're all part of God,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all looking at each other as a part of God. And I think he's looking at us, but we have to come from God because there's only one origin of life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's one lump of clay. Even the building material is from one source.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we came out of God, and then God locked us up.
Yeah, he's locked them.
He's not done with us yet. He's got this baking process. He wants to make a cake.
And we're a piece of him. He's used himself to make us.
Right, and he locked us up in the oven for a purpose. Shall we call it the oven of stubbornness? Kind of like the cliffs of insanity.
Well, there'd be nothing to reveal to anything unless they were locked up first, right? I mean, how do you unveil and reveal
Mercy
the riches
itself.
of God?
Yeah, how would you reveal mercy itself unless you made sure that we needed mercy?
Right. There'd be no other way.
Mm-hmm.
Or no one would understand what in the hell that was.
So, with the grand, breathtaking conclusion of this verse 32, well, then we can scoot to verse 33. And it kind of mirrors, or it accentuates or even magnifies what we just read in verse 32. Oh, the depths of the riches and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. So just verse 33 that we've read so far, it's another verse that the Christians hate because it complements verse 32. And it goes beyond a compliment. It says that this is riches that God locks up altogether in stubbornness. And this is wisdom that God locks altogether in stubbornness. And this is the knowledge of God that God locks up altogether in stubbornness, that he should be merciful to all. And then Paul can't shut up about it. He goes on. How inscrutable are his judgments and untraceable his ways. I can't figure it out. I dare not suggest to God a better plan. But I hear people doing that all the time.
Yeah.
If I were God, I wouldn't do it this way. I would do it some other way. I'd make everybody perfect right from the start. Well, that's apparently not his wisdom and not his riches and not his knowledge.
They just haven't thought that all the way through.
Yeah. It's just not fair that God would lock up altogether in stubbornness. I don't like being stubborn, and I don't like stubborn people. Can you hear them saying that?
Yeah.
With
I mean,
a tone,
imagine
of in their voice.
I was just going to say, what's that look like? Imagine if he even would do such a thing, which is make a creature perfect from the get-go. Well, then the only way to show that creature that's absolutely perfect, a part of the process to make them perfect, they wouldn't be perfect unless they knew the difference between perfection and imperfection. That right there disqualifies. You can't make something perfect, a living being that has a conscious, an awareness, it would have to know the difference. So maybe you could say then, okay, well, let's speed things up. Maybe it's not just instantaneous, but you could put this creature through classes and show them examples. No, follow me. You're going to have to do this. Show them examples of what? Well, you're going to have other living creatures to point out, hey, this is imperfect. See, they're being mean and angry, and this is called selfishness. You see how ridiculous? Come on.
Yeah, we are ridiculous, aren't we?
One of these living creatures is going to get a bum rap, because even to be the example, then they would have to be acting out imperfection and hatred and whatever other sin to even teach that perfect creature from the get-go that hasn't seen sin or been touched by its filthy fingers.
Man, what a big thought. Who can plumb its depths? Oh, it is the depths of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God.
How boring to have classes. I'm so glad that's not how it's done. To be born perfect and then have classes to keep your perfection, or, to answer the question of what else exists besides perfection.
Uh-huh.
That sounds more robotic than what he's allowing us to experience. At least we feel like we're running the show. Yeah. At least we feel like we got our ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
At least we feel like we were dealt a bad hand of cards. It's kind of a gift if you think about it. I'm sure it will be seen that way when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I like my metaphor of the crab bucket, One crab gets ready to escape and the other crab's pulling back down.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are? Get back down here. There's a big intimacy here, locking us all up together. You want to be a part of a club? Okay. Want to be a part of a team, a winning team?
What a sales pitch.
Yeah. This is how we can all be together. Let's be stubborn together.
Man, you ought to write a sales track instead of a Bible track. Write a sales pitch for this. Write some copyright for this, man. You could really talk it up. And it'd be true.
Wow.
What a perfect club to be a part of.
And apparently, it's so easy to be a part of this stubborn club. I don't see anybody who's struggling with not being stubborn.
Right.
It just comes natural. To
Yes. Lee.
Oh, the depths of the riches and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. How inscrutable are his judgments and untraceable his ways. Wow. What do you got on the word? What do you got on the word scrutable or inscrutable?
Inscrutable. Doesn't that mean that you can't lay blame, that you can't find wrong, that you can't find you can't scrutinize, right?
Uh-huh. Let's see. Impossible to understand or interpret.
Oh, well. Okay. Well, that's different.
Bob looked blankly inscrutable.
Oh, yeah. I basically he's pulling the puppet strings. That's what that's saying. You can't figure him out. He's always a step in front of you. Your eyeballs don't even see things in real time. It's just silly. We're really limited.
Explain that.
Well, it's mechanical. It's physical. Your whole sense of sight. You're taking light in, It's then going through that organ, your iris, which is a lens. It comes in upside down. Then the back part of your brain that handles all the optics has to take that image, rotate it right side up, and then start filtering out all the bullshit that you don't care about. And so you're very much behind the real thing that's happening. Any entity that could operate without all that physical limitation would always be a step in front of you constantly. And you wouldn't even see them. Trippy, isn't it?
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
Sight is a miracle.
Really is.
All the depths of the riches. And what's God got with what's this with riches? How is it rich that God would lock all together up in stubbornness? Oh, that he should be merciful to all. There we go. Now we're talking riches.
Well, isn't this all setups for mind blowers? Isn't this all God bragging about his mind blowing ability? If this was copy, right, for a sales pitch or a ticket to a circus or a production, man, this is all about have your mind blown. Who knows these ways? Who's ever seen this? Who could ever think up such an idea? Come see.
Right, yeah. Forget P.T. Barnum. This is big stuff.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it has to be this way for this type of unveiling, for you to really be put in your place that you are a part of God. You cannot be something on your own. Get used to it. It's an actual honorable position. And you're going to have a lot of fun because you happen to be part of a lump of a happy God. And he's going to poke fun and have fun with you for a while as you learn, because he's not boring. He'll always keep you on your toes.
You know, the Baptists or the Pentecostals, especially the Pentecostals, they have this this kind of phraseology. They say, God told me, blah, 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 and then they proclaim whatever God had told them. I don't think the Baptists say that so much, but the Pentecostals act like they've got,
like they hear God.
Yeah,
they
like
really do.
Scoop. Yeah, God told me that you were going to receive a pair of shoes. Like they're a fortune teller or something.
Absolutely. I went through a sect of Christianity like that, where I was around. They believed that. Matter of fact, it was a big rule that no one better tell anyone that what they heard from God, which kind of gave everyone carte blanche, genie bottle privileges to name anything, and no one could scrutinize it. See?
Well, anyway, so because of that, when I was some time ago, when I was having a discussion back and forth on the comment section with the free will chick, I told her in that tone of voice, I don't know how you can actually capture a tone of voice with just fonts, but I tried. I said, God told me that you were stubborn. And you should have seen her reply.
What was it? What was her reply?
Oh my God. She stomped her foot. You could hear the foot stomping, even though it was just text, right? She stomped her foot and insisted that she is not stubborn, that she actually gave her heart to Jesus 6 years ago or something like this, She went on a defensive thing. God told me that you were stubborn. And I was referring to this verse, but I didn't quote the verse until after she did her tirade that she was not stubborn. But this is a blessing. This is a thrill that God locks us up in stubbornness. This is God's doing, his plan, his chef operation.
Yeah.
We're going into the oven, man.
Yeah. And then when you realize how locked up you are, see, you're trickable. That's a hard thing to come to the place where you're like, golly, man, I am gullible. I can be fooled. I can be brainwashed. and pay a very, very high, penalty, a heavy penalty, meaning you could have decades in a career, right? That you find out, shit, I've just been slaving like a dog for nothing. The company's getting the big payout here, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just from being stubborn, which really translates into you're dumb. Stubborn is dumb. Keeps repeating the same thing over and over.
And don't we? That's what that's what my study of history has concluded. History repeats
Yeah,
itself. We
because
every
people don't
X number-
learn.
Right.
People don't learn from history. If anything, that's a famous quote too. If anything, history teaches us is that no one learns from it. That's
Mhm.
someone recent that says that. I forget who. That's a good one.
So we can see in our modern day, 2022, we can see the crap that we're going through. We can see it in the Roman Empire, the British Empire, the Alexander the Great Empire, the Great Depression of the 30s. Everything seems to repeat because we're all locked up in stubbornness.
Right. That's right.
God is making a point, and we will get that point. And I'm assuming the point is that there's nothing within us personally that is worth redeeming, and yet he redeems.
Right.
Because it's his idea.
And I think Sterling really, really has a point with the whole God casting lots to figure out who he, in each generation, who he was going to open their eyes. And it's got to be like that because for God to get the glory, man has to have the numbers advantage. You can't have God always having the advantage appearance wise. So by all physical and technological and scholarly and physical advantages you could have, man has, the numbers. That's why God says whatever man highly esteems, whatever's popular to us as a whole, it's usually that's not the right solution. I've been studying a lot of business and marketing books and reading some people that I like, and that's been a common theme. They're like, look, you've been taught to be risk averse your whole life, to play it safe. It's the way of the West, the way of their universities. But you've got to learn to be more, take more chances and be less risk aware.
Yeah, so if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not to avoid risk, but to manage your risks.
Yeah.
To see if you can stack the deck in your favor. Oh, the depths of the riches and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. How inscrutable are his judgments. Wow. Talk about the judgments of God. Talk about the great white throne judgments, the lake of fire, name any judgment. Noah's flood. How inscrutable are his judgments. And untraceable his ways. For who knew the mind of the Lord? Or who became his advisor? And this, verse 35, is so humbling. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know how we can read verse 35 without getting teary-eyed, But I do it. But I can feel it, the humility of verse 35. Who gives to him first, and it will be repaid him. There we go. We're not contributing to this whole program. We weren't there at the cross approving of the death of God's Son, or signing a contract, or participating in it at all. All this stuff was done on our behalf. We were included in Adam, no questions asked. we were included in Christ, no questions asked. Who gives to him first, and it will be repaid him? No one. This is a beautiful and pure rhetorical question, and a perfect setup for verse 36. Seeing that out of him and through him and for him is all. To him be the glory for the eons. Amen.
It's heavy duty. It's heavy.
Yeah.
That means that out of him and through him are you, and so am I. And it's almost like he's hidden himself from himself, by creating us all individually, giving us personalities and a sense of autonomy, a sense of being apart from him. Like he says, though, it's just bad programming. It's just all in your mind. You can't be apart from God. You are a part of God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey,
And
speaking of history repeating,
yeah,
and when Nero was the emperor of Rome,
right.
he was in a chariot race,
Yeah, I love this.
and he cheated. He had too many horses on his chariot, so they went
Cool.
around the curve too fast.
He's a
And
real sissy boy, by the way.
Yeah, and so his chariot dumped over, so he
Yeah.
didn't even finish the race.
Right.
But the judges said, "Hooray! Nero won the race," and they knew better.
Yeah. They didn't want any
knew better than
bamboo up a wrong place.
right. They knew the better, or they would have been killed. And so they let him win. And so when that black guy became our president, Obama, first thing they did was they gave him a peace prize, the Nobel Peace Prize.
Can you believe it? That was so
And
disgusting.
then he went on to bomb a bunch of people with those drone bombers.
Didn't he?
I mean, and so I see him as that scene like Nero winning the race. Yeah, it's just a
sure. Gross.
Going to give him a peace prize, even though he doesn't deserve
Gross. Appearance is everything.
And reality is nothing. Except until we get to Romans 11, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, seeing that out of him and through him and for him is all. I don't know if you were in my morning session to hear me read this part, but I pointed out that the word him shows up in verse 36 3 times, and I learned how to count, when I went to government schools.
Right.
So that tells me that this verse is about him. Out of him, number 1, and through him, number 2, and for him, number 3, is all. This verse is not about all. This is about him. Oh, and then it has number 4 there. To him be the glory. I totally messed up there because I went to government schools. I didn't see the 4th one. To him be the glory. Well, that makes perfect sense that he would go through these 4 hated Bible verses, these 4 verses that reveal things to us that we would not know over at the Baptist church. And then he finally polishes it off by saying, to him be the glory. Do you feel refreshed? Are you like me?
Sure. Yeah, that's good. Scroll up to the top a little bit. Oh, it's not too real time on my end. Did you scroll up?
I did, yeah. Hang on, it'll get there.
Let's see if it's even possible. Which verse did you go to? Oh, 32?
Uh-huh. For God locks up altogether in stubbornness, that he should be merciful to all. Oh, the depths of the riches and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. And this stuff, these verses should roll off our tongue.
Well, you could do it like selling tickets. Ladies and gentlemen, step right up. It's only $10 a seat, for God locks all of us up together in stubbornness, that he should be merciful to all. Step right up now. We'll give you
Whoa.
75% off. Oh, the depth of the riches and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. How inscrutable are his judgments. Yes, right here, dear. I'll take that. I'll take that. Thank you. And untraceable his ways. But who knew the mind of the Lord? $10 a ticket is a steal. Get them now. See it. See the 10th wonder of the world. See it now.
Come on, honey. We're going to go see who knew the mind of the Lord.
I'm telling you, this is an advertising marquee, too. These are incredible claims.
And yet, what do you hear on Sunday morning? John 3:16, and the next Sunday morning, John 3:16, and the next Sunday morning, John 3:16. What the hell? I'm so
Right.
sick of John 3:16.
Right.
Seeing that out of him, this is so darling, and through him, this is so darling, and for him, this is so darling, is all. This explains
pretty
everything.
good. Sure does. It explains all the hurt, the suffering, the pain, the tears, all of it. Except marriage. That explains that too. Sure does.
For who knew the mind of the Lord, or who became his advisor, or who gives to him first, and it will be repaid him. Mm-mm. And notice the word seeing. It's not hearing that all is out of him. Not feeling, but it's seeing. Kind of an interesting little expression. And of course, seeing is tied to understanding. I hear you.
Yeah.
I guess when we say I hear you, some doubt as to whether or not you are really on board with whatever it is. I hear you.
Who, me?
When you say I see you, I see what you're saying.
Oh.
Yeah, you. I see you.
No,
I see
hear
that
you.
out of him.
In my mind,
And
I
through him,
see it.
before him is all. Mm-hmm.
In my mind's eye.
I feel you, brother.
I'm also racing a battery. I was trying to find the adapter.
I found it. I got a 5-second warning. 5-minute warning.
Okay, let's peel out of here.
All right.
Oh, how inscrutable. Oh, the depths. There we go. Oh, the depths and wisdom and knowledge of God. Oh, the riches and the wisdom. Oh, the depths of the riches and the wisdom and knowledge of God. There we go. Okay, boys and girls, thanks for coming in. And maybe we'll do a show later. Grace to you. Bye for now.
Bye.